Blog Talk Radio.
Here we go with the main event of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen in attendance, boxing fans joining us around the world. It's time for the bout you've all been waiting for. Finally, it is showtime.
Here, man, we dedicate our life to this sport. We do thousands of sit-ups in camp. We run hundreds of miles, for the ones that take it serious. And we just dedicate ourselves fully to our craft, man. We watch tape. We have attitude. We rooting, and we go into that fight just to land on the line.
Boxing fans, this is the Rope-A-Dope Radio Podcast. I am your host, Chris Carlson. We are live on a Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing okay. I know I am. As a boxing fan, I'm really okay because Showtime just announced their schedule. We'll get into it in just a moment. I'm having a little bit of issues. The normal call-in number that I use was a little funky. And for some reason, there's a host and then there's a guest calling, obviously. And for some odd reason, it's not allowing a guest call in right now. So I do have to see. I can't even see if I'm on that way. So if you're listening right now, let me know. Okay, here we go. I can't even see if I'm on that way. Okay, well, at least I got that. I had to literally go under my browser and see if I was on live. Something's up with the number. I did try to get help. Usually that comes somewhat good enough, especially during the day, or quick enough, I should say good enough. Anyway, I heard my voice on the browser, so that tells you something, okay? So I apologize for those who are trying to come in. You can go, the Blog Talk and get it there. I'm going to keep trying to call myself I'm not calling myself. Well, I kind of am because I'm hosting, but I'm going to keep trying to call that call-in number and see when it works, and I'll let you guys know. But otherwise, the browser is available. It's going to cover most of the show anyway because we have a live stream for, an hour and 40 minutes. So I hope to get that fixed, though, very soon. Anyway, back to the story at hand. First of all, how's everybody doing? Hope you've had a good chunk of days. I think we last spoke Friday. Of course, we will start the show with recap. Oscar Valdez returned against Jason Velez, and he looked pretty good. So we're going to recap that. We'll also recap the undercard. We'll also look at a card coming up in a couple of days. What is it, Wednesday? What is this, Velvet? No, what is this, Wednesday? Yeah, so Friday night on DAZN, that is Golden Boy DAZN's return. Virgil Ortiz steps back in the ring against a hardened vet who should give him some good rounds, Samuel Vargas, especially if he can get out of the first couple of rounds, right, with Virgil, because that guy can punch. We'll talk about the undercard as well. There's some prospect, kind of showcase prospect, possibly get tested type stuff that we'll talk all about. And then we got to go with news. And there was a couple other news items that I think I'll stash. Well, they're not really. They're more like talkers, segments, I will talk a little fight news as far as some fights that got announced on ESPN as well at the end of the month, which are really good. I'm excited for that. Talk a little bit about Gilberto Ramirez being a free agent. Oscar De La Hoya just keeps on talking about his return. We have a little bit more information on the Canelo negotiations, which, who knows when that's going to happen. A little bit more information in general. But let's be honest. The big thing we're going to talk about is the PBC's return on Showtime They still have Fox fights, right? We figure, well, we know Jamal James and Delorme. You figure Ugas is in there, Spence Garcia. I suppose half of the Wilder Fury, if that happens in December. Maybe Broner, who's been talking about coming out of retirement. Maybe he's on Fox or FS1. Either way, Gary Russell Jr., there's plenty of fights out there, but Showtime really made a statement. They came back with a big bang. I was going to name this show PBC Showtime schedule is Fire as Fuck, but I just didn't. I wanted to act my age somewhat. But I'll tell you what, it is Fire as Fuck. I mean, this is a damn good schedule. And there are some pay-per-views on here, 2 of them. So I know because it's the PBC usually gets the brunt of now the pay-per-views. When it was on HBO, it was very hit or miss. They judged the pay-per-view, a lot of media members and part-time media members I'm speaking of. But that turns into fans as well. So there is some. The Charlo Brothers pay-per-view, which we're going to talk about. There's 6 fights. It's actually kind of interesting. There's a late afternoon and an evening show. So we're going to break down the whole schedule. It all starts not this weekend, but next weekend with Fulton and Leo, which I'm really looking forward to those fights. But there is a bunch of fights on there. The Charlo Brothers, both of them in legitimate fights. We knew Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz was part of it. We knew some fights like Ulabi and Nonito, which is later in the year, which I can't wait for that fight. That was already on the schedule, so we figured that would be part of this. So there is some really, really good fights, and we're going to break them all down for you. One of my favorite fights that I got to say is which one was it? see how pumped I am? Oh, Goucher and Lubin. Sign me the fuck up for that fight. That is a really good fight. So there's 54 is popping off. Like I said, we'll break it all down. There is some really great fights. And Showtime is back. PBC as well. This is probably their best part of their schedule. I'm sure Fox will put on some good stuff, but I don't know if it'll match up with this just based off what we see on paper. So they're going out with the bang. Like I said, even ESPN, the 22nd and 28th have fights scheduled now, which both of them are really, really good. So, this weekend and beyond, boxing is full steam ahead. Get the fuck out of its way right now. And that's without a DAZN schedule in the fall and winter yet. I mean, they have a pretty good schedule. They have a fair amount of good mid-level fights. Obviously, the card that they have, what is it, the 22nd? I really like that. How can't you? Dillian White and Alexander Povetkin. And then Katie Taylor and Person. Is it Person? I like that fight a lot. That's my favorite card out of all of them. But they have some good mid-level fights on that, on those. But they're going to go with the bang just based off their roster. Hopefully ESPN does get that Teofimo, Lomachenko fight popping and whatnot. And so, yeah, dude, this is – and then Fox as well. So I'm just happy. I am fucking happy. I'll tell you that. This is fun. This is actually the most excited I've been about boxing since the pandemic hit in. I mean, let's look at it. Wilder Fury 2. I haven't been this excited about boxing since Wilder Fury 2 the week of. Because now these are set in stone. Of course, there could be injury. Of course, COVID. There's a lot that goes into this stuff. All these fights are probably not going to happen, but they got announced is the point. So I'm really happy. Because I know that Fox and DAZN, like I said, and everybody else, Top Rank, can put layers on this. And we're going to go out, the last 5 months is going to be damn good. So I'm really looking forward to it. Anyway, start with the recap. We'll talk a little preview. We'll talk a little news because there is a fair amount of it, obviously. But then we're going to break down that PBC Showtime schedule. And, man, Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn and whoever just took their word as bond about Showtime being out of the biz, Oh, ouch. Anyway, if this is your first time listening to the Rope It Up Radio podcast, welcome. It streams live right here on blogtalkradio.com/Rope It Up Radio. It streams live. It also archives. You know, if you don't want to listen to, today, right now, you can't call in. The call-in number's a little messed up. I think it's going to be okay here soon. I actually should refresh it just to see if I did get some help news. But if this is your first, right now, I'd say you just call the number. But obviously, that's just not going to happen this second. However, right now, the browser live show is the best, But you don't have to normally listen to it in the browser or download it right off of Blog Talk. You can find Rope It Up Radio podcast, which is boxing heavy, but also football and basketball, at Apple Podcast, on iHeartRadio, Player FM, TuneIn, Spreaker, really all across the board. We're also part of the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network, which can be found everywhere, including Spotify. You can use your Siri or Alexa through Spotify or TuneIn to find the platforms. While you're at it, why don't you head on over to thegruelingtruth.com. That's thegruelingtruth.com. It's boxing, football, basketball, baseball, everything in between. One more thing. If you're thinking about cutting the cord or you had and you're not quite happy, I got something for you. It's called AT&T TV Now. It's live streaming cable. I use it myself. They do have a 7-day free trial. The plans start as low as $55 a month. There's no annual contract. You can stream it anywhere. They have the cloud DVR. And this is what I've been saying this whole time for boxing fans. Showtime is $11 on this platform, which it looked like they were getting back all the way into the business. And by the way, this isn't even Showboxes. And there's no Clarissa Shields either. I forgot about that. Anyway, it's AT&T TV Now. Like I said, live streaming cable. However, if the live streaming cable just won't work because you're in the outskirts, your internet is just horrendous, or you're by an airport or whatever, I understand. There is a growing platform, AT&T TV. That's your normal cable platform. It's here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in New York, parts of Florida, parts of Texas, parts of California, all the way up to the Northwest in Seattle, even some other places in the Midwest like St. Louis. So just put your area code in, see if they got it in your, it's available in your area. Otherwise, AT&T TV Now, like I said, live streaming cable. Okay. So there's a lot to get into, obviously, right? So we're going to, like I said, we'll just start with the recap and just kind of get into it. But, man, I'm really happy. And I've noticed, and I'll get into this a little later, but I have noticed that my timeline should be popping off right about now. And I got to admit, it's really not, which is kind of telling, if you ask me. You know what I mean? It's kind of telling. It's kind of strange. So, it's a little weird. Let's just put it that way. It's a little weird. There's people talking about it here and there. There are some more mainstream media. Well, I say mainstream, but mainstream in boxing. Full-time press members, but the part-time press, a good chunk of the boxing fans, kind of weird right now. I don't know if they're just mad because they said Showtime was done a while ago, or because it's PBC related or whatnot. By the way, like I mentioned, right now, I just checked, and it's still, unfortunately, the number's not necessarily working right now. But there is the browser. I do have the link on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. It's all over the place right now. So I'm going to keep calling and see if we can get this thing fixed. Like I said, help is actually helping me right now. They did respond, so that's always good. But right now, just kind of bear with me. I apologize about that. I just wanted to get up and talk about this shit. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, for boxing fans that appreciate the shit, this is great news, dude. This is actually really fun. he said there's some really good fights. But I'm actually sorry about this. I just have to make sure. All right. So, that's funny. Okay, sorry, I'm getting a bunch of messages, so I'm kind of working my way through this. But anyway, should be up here soon. I hope anyway. Like I said, we'll find out. So, anyway, let's talk about last night real quick. Oscar Valdez returned. He's been, what did he fight in November, December? Struggled pretty well in that fight at times, that's for sure. He's kind of an up and down fighter. It is a new weight class for him at 130. We'll talk about his fight in a second. Isaac Dogbe. Chris Avios was a good opponent for him when he's trying to go to featherweight. Can it work for him, Dogbe, at 126? With that height, or lack thereof, I should say, it's not the easiest transition, let's put it that way. And so I think the book is still out on that. You could kind of see, overall, I had some internet issues that we were tweaking it yesterday on purpose. So I actually missed the first couple of rounds because I couldn't DVR it because of that. But I did see a good chunk of them, and I watched I think it was the last 5 rounds, something like that. I noticed Dogbe fought smarter. He wasn't nearly as aggressive. He did just start wearing Avalos down as the fight went on. He used his jab fairly well. Like I said, just not as busy as normal. But like I said, he wore him down the last, I'd say, 3-4 rounds, especially the last 3 that I think I saw the 5 rounds of this fight now I think about it. So he didn't look all that great. The 8th round was a pretty decent 2-way round. There was like a flurry from Dogbe. I think it was a left hook and a hard right hand. And they stopped it kind of out of nowhere. Like I said, you did see him wearing down Avalos, but I think it was an early stoppage, to be fair. But it's not like he was going to win the fight. It wasn't like, oh man, it's 5-4 going into the 10th or something like that. That was not the case. So early stoppage, yes. Dogbe did get the win and looked pretty good doing it. Like I said, nothing too crazy. I think that the verdict is still out on how good he'll be at featherweight. We'll see, but a pretty good performance. I did like the way he finished. He did start to pick it up a little bit. You had Elvis Rodriguez. Not much in that fight. He's now 8-0-1 with 8 KOs. Kind of came out pumping a really stiff jab. Some really nice right hooks as well to the body. And then I think it was a left hand. Was it a left hand knockout? I think that's what it was. Earlier he had landed like a right hook. And he started kind of cutting off the ring and throwing combinations, and that was it. So Elvis Rodriguez looked pretty good for what that fight was. And then you had Natalie Gonzalez and Kim Claybell. Claybell dominated the fight. I think all 3 scorecards. I had it 80-72. That was my scorecard. She's now, 12-0. She looked pretty good. She just was, I think she just outmatched Gonzalez. Then you had Edgar Berlanga. And as we know, he's on this knockout streak as a prospect, trying to work his way to become a contender. Came into this fight, Berlanga did 13-0 with 13 KOs, and he was going against Eric Moon. He didn't disappoint. I mean, he came right out, landing a really hard jab, few left hooks to the head and body. I think it was like a body combination, then like 2 overhand rights. And it looked like it was just going to be a knockdown, but then you kind of looked at Moon and were like, actually, I think this is going to be a knockout. and it was. So, Berlanga, he's obviously got a lot of pop. Did he take some shots? A couple, but you could see he's just going for the knockout. So, he keeps his knockout streak alive up to 14 now. And especially a lot of them in the first round like that. It's pretty impressive. It'll be interesting to see, how quickly they move him up because he just keeps destroying competition. Not that he's been in there with like a full-on contender yet, but dude's got a lot of potential. He's based out of Brooklyn, born and raised, I believe, from Puerto Rico. So, man, I mean, if this guy can keep this knockout streak going or just looking dominant in general, this guy may just kind of sneak up and become a fan favorite in New York City once, you could actually bring fans back because, as we know, Brooklyn is starting to become a nice fight town there or has become a nice fight town. I know the PBC has, a deal with the Barclays, but either way, New York City, Puerto Rican fighter, that usually means butts in the seats, right? Especially when you got a guy like Berlanga. So, shouts out to Berlanga, dude. He did his, he did his job, and I can't wait to see him. Hopefully, we get to see him here in the next couple of months, whether it's 2 or 3 months, whatever. Hopefully he gets to, keep stepping up. Now on to the main event: Oscar Valdez and Jason Velez. Obviously, Valdez struggled in his last outing. Didn't look that great. He has these performances where he just looks like very good, like B-. Sometimes he flashes like a B+, somewhere in the B range. But then he comes out with like some C+ stuff too, where you're just like, you're fighting at levels. And, at 126, he fought some good fighters. Mariaga is a good fighter. That was a war. He's been in a lot of wars, as we know. So, what was the other big war which one did he just, oh man, he broke his jaw. Which fight was that? Why can't I think of what fight that is? Oh, Quigg, Scott Quigg. Now, Quigg at 122, I think, is better than he was at 126, just size-wise. But either way, he's a good fighter. You know what I mean? So you can't really take that win away from him by any means. But that was a brawl, too. And that really kind of built his hardcore level all the way up, He's still trying to cross over, and he hasn't had that top-level fight yet. He's fought, like I said, some good veteran fighters. Even, that one starts with the S. It's like Cervanta. That guy wasn't some vet or anything like that. He was actually kind of young contender himself, and that was another close fight. He got dropped in that fight, did Oscar Valdez. So when he was coming up on HBO, they made, I think, a little too much of him, but he still has room to grow. Now, he is kind of stuck between styles. We'll get into that a little bit. I thought I gave him the first round. It was a competitive round, though. There were a few of these competitive fights. It was weird. Kriegel, before they, I like the when they run promos before fights and everything like that. I mentioned the promo they ran. They ran it this week again that I really like, where it's like matching the old school and new school during the promo and talking about the fighters, and I think that was dope. But Kriegel is like, why Miguel Burchelt? Like, this guy's spot. It almost made it sound like, for a quick second anyway. And I like the little, promo. I like the mini shoulder program they did. Don't get me wrong, but that's what they said. Why Burchelt? Like, why take this risk? And it's almost like he doesn't have to take this. It's like, well, that was kind of a weird way to put it. Why Burchelt? Right before the preview. That kind of threw me off, but I liked the preview. It was pretty good. But Velez, he didn't land a bunch of big shots, but they just kind of added up. I guess that's the best way to do it. I think, like, just a couple of the nice hooks were enough for Oscar to win the first round. Second round, more shots landed by Velez. He was landing his jab. He was landing his right hand. He was just being busy going to the body as well. I thought that was one of the biggest, besides for Oscar Valdez being stuck in between styles, which I think that is the case, or lack thereof, I should say. I needed to see a little bit more body work out of him, maybe because he was getting hit by the jab a lot. I don't know, but I gave him the next couple of rounds. Velez was really just kind of throwing jabs and not landed too much, whereas, let's say the first minute of a round, Jason Velez would have some success, but then, Oscar answered with several good shots. Just landed the better shots overall. I did notice, and Bradley kept saying this, there was some swelling in the lower part of, his eye, Oscar Valdez's eye. And that's something we see in a lot of his fights. They were saying they're not doing anything to it, like the end swell and everything like that. It turned out okay. I thought they were kind of I don't know if they're making too big of a deal or not. It didn't look like it was, affecting him, but I guess that's Bradley's whole point, right? Like, you might as well nip it in the butt. But that fourth round was close. I think there was like a late left hook that probably was the difference. One of them was I think there was two left hooks late. One of them was to the body. That's what got that one. And the fifth round was kind of tells you a lot about what the fight was. You had the jab and body attack with some hard, good right hands by Velez, and I thought he was winning that fifth round, and next thing you know, a left hook dropped Velez by Valdez. Nice left hook. And so he won that round. Now, was that a clear 10-8 round? Most people would say that. Could it be a 10-9 round because he was winning the round? He didn't hurt Oscar Valdez. It's one thing to be like winning, let's say, 90 seconds or even 2 minutes of a round where you're just outlanding them and all that. But then you get knocked down. If you weren't like overwhelming him or hurting him, it's hard to be like, oh, that's only a 10-9 for Valdez. I did see some of that, but that's not. I'm okay with doing that, but I didn't think it was like a super dominant round until that point. I thought he was just winning it, Velez. A closer round in the sixth. That could have went either way. I thought just more active, because after that knockdown, it did seem like it kind of woke Valdez back up, and he was just more active in that round. Seventh round, he was just overworking him, landing the harder shots. And like I said, I even wrote it down here. He definitely is stuck between styles. There was a low blow deducted in the ninth round in favor of Valdez. In the 10th round, Oscar came out with hooks with both hands, landing them really well. Then like a hard left hook that stumbled Velez. And then like another left hook and a huge right hand. Actually, a left hook knocked him down. Then I think a huge right hand. TKO, the fight was over. So overall, Valdez, although stuck between styles, it was pretty good. Very, very good in spots. I kind of like what I saw after the knockdown, what was that, the fifth round and on, where he was more aggressive. He was mixing in I like him mixing in the style. And I don't think he's going to have to worry about flashing too many different styles or just stick to his, like a stick and move game against Burchell, because Burchell's going to come. He doesn't just come full board maybe right out of the gate, but the amount of punches the guy throws, I think that'll help Valdez in general. Now, in the first couple feel-out rounds, sure. But either way, Valdez got the victory. He landed 138 to 67, 29%, and only 12%. So the second landed from Velez. So second half of the fight was more of what I want to see out of Oscar Valdez. Let's put it that way. Because, like I said, he was looking damn sharp. So, anyway, overall, actually, I did have some people call. I just can't answer my phone. I realized that the call-in number, I'm going to actually try it right now. The call-in number has been down. There is the blogtalkradio.com/ropeitover radio account, of course. But yeah, I'm calling right now actually, and it's not even picking up for some reason. And it's weird because I had to use a different line just to call into the show tonight too. So it kind of threw me for a loop. I thought, oh, I got this thing scheduled. I'm not even going to be able to do the show, or I'm going to have to do it a different way. But that's not the case now. Let's see here. All right. So, like I said, I apologize about the call-in number right now. It's acting a little funky. I know a lot of people are at work, so, maybe it is kind of a surprise show. I was going to do the show last night, post-fight. That was kind of the plan. But I had heard from, like, 2 different people that I definitely trust about a rollout coming. I assumed there was going to be some sort of announcement from PBC here soon. And then one more source yesterday, I think it was Coppinger, that came out and said there's a big rollout. Then I was like, okay, it's on. I had heard about the Mohegan Sun, how the PBC has to deal with them. I heard that from a few people. Actually, I heard it on a podcast for the 3rd time yesterday when I listened to it. Then I thought, okay, there's got to be, based off what they already have scheduled at that place, it's probably all Showtime fights. And they ran it all the way to the end of the year. So I figure why not do the show tonight? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to not do it, right? I mean, this is that's why I just held off. I was like, okay, hold on now. Let's what the hell? Yeah, sorry, I keep getting these text messages saying the number's all messed up. Once again, blogtalkradio.com. You can just go right to it. I've been sending links to people, and that will get you. Otherwise, it'll be up here somewhat soon. So, yeah, we do have some action going on this weekend. There's a lot going on just in general, but we do actually have some good fights for what they are. I'd say that. You know what I mean? It's not like they're, I guess you could say, not like great fights or anything like that. But, we do have some fights. And a guy in Virgil Ortiz is returning. He's a guy that has a lot of skill, a lot of power. What is he, like 14-0 now with 14 KOs or something like that? I mean, actually, I think he's 15-0 with 15 KOs. So I'm just actually, what's funny? When you go to ESPN right now on my phone, it's obviously there, but when you go under sections, there's no sections right now. I was going to open up the schedule so I could see the more undercard fights, but it's just literally not. Wow, that's weird. But yeah, like I said, you do have Samuel Vargas. All right, here we go. Okay, I just skipped it. Samuel Vargas, it's not a fight that stands out like, oh my God, this is going to be such a hard fight for Ortiz. And I think it'll be a little bit better for Vargas if he can make it, past the first couple of opening rounds. I think that's clearly going to help him. Yeah, I'm at, let's see if it actually turns. I'm at ESPN.com. And it just won't show the schedule. You know what? I think I know why. They're probably installing this gigantic Showtime card, and maybe that's the problem. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, Samuel Vargas, like I said, is he just a killer? No, he's not. But, has he given, some good fights to Amir Khan and a couple other fighters? Has he gotten knocked out quick by, say, Danny Garcia and Spence? Sure. I mean, all this stuff is true, but he actually, that was last year. It's actually over a year ago now. He lost a really competitive fight to Luis Collazo, who had actually looked decent in that fight. He lost to Khan, but he took him the distance. And then years ago, that's probably almost 4 years ago, something like that. Like I said, Danny Garcia, beat him, but he's just he's a good fight. You got to always look at where he's got a huge reach. I'll give him that. 72 for welterweight, and he is 5'9", not like Ortiz is that short though. He's got a 70-inch reach too. But you just got to look at where they're at. This is his 16th fight. Obviously, he hasn't fought in a little while anyway. He fought at the end of last year, I believe. Either November or December. Was it December? I can't remember. But I just think it's a good, when I say test, it could test him. It could. It also could just be more rounds, more reason to, get behind Virgil Ortiz and another knockout more than likely too. But the guys fought, even a couple years back, Roberto Ortiz, Mauricio Herrera, Antonio Orozco. So he's fought, some solid dudes where he's at. So in your 16th fight, Samuel Vargas, I like the fight. I don't think there's anything wrong with this fight. I think it's pretty good to me if you look at it. I think that there's, I just think it's a good tester for him, and it's just a good development fight. Vargas, like I said, if he makes it out of the first couple rounds, he's a hard-nosed dude. And let's be honest, it's been about, 7 months since he's fought Virgil. And this is obviously, July 4th was supposed to be Ryan Garcia's return, as we know. And that didn't happen. We don't really know what's 100% going on right now with him. But this is a good fight for him. There's also Hector. What is it? Tenard. What is his last name? He's an undefeated prospect, good fighter. He's taken on Mercito Hesta, who's a veteran fighter. Is it Tanajara? That should be that's a nice test too. I mean, this is his 20th fight. We know Mercito Hesta has, he's limited. He is definitely limited. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not limited, but once again, we're looking at a prospect fight. He comes to fight. You just don't knock him out with ease. I'm assuming it'll go the distance. Could we get an upset? I mean, I guess you could say, potentially. But to me, I think it's just a good showcase development. I think it's probably better than a showcase. You know what I mean? I think this is actually somewhat of a development fight for him because, I think that's clear. I think that's clear because, like I said, Hesta. Remember, Marcito, wasn't he on ESPN a bunch of times? And he's actually coming off a really close fight with Morales, and it's Carlos Morales, if I remember correctly. And that guy gave freaking Ryan Garcia a hell of a fight. But Hesta's just kind of in between, man. Then, before that fight, though, he lost to Rodriguez, which he probably, if he was still had a chance, that probably wasn't, that probably shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? Carlos Molina, I remember that. It was it was a draw. I believe that. Miguel Vasquez back in the day. Actually, I think that's about it for names. Oh, Ty Barnett, too. I remember that fight. So, I mean, when I look at it, I think this is a good fight for Hector. Good development fight. So I'm looking forward to this card. Like I said, he's coming off a win over. He fought this year, didn't he? It was early in the year, February or maybe January, against Burgos. Delgado was another guy I remember him fighting. Let's see. Let me look at his box real quick. Emmanuel. Oh wait, forget it. Roger Gutierrez, a decent fighter there. So to me, it's not like Tanjara is just this super experienced guy. So I think he'll, be in there with a tough, hard-nosed dude, and that'll probably be a good fight for him. So, like I said, there is I just can't remember. I just can't remember the rest of that card for some odd reason. I know there's another fight on there that I wanted to mention, but I just can't. Weird. I can't open the damn schedule, so I can't remember it offhand. Okay. Anyway, and actually, by the way, as a friendly reminder to everybody, the hell? As a friendly reminder, make sure you re-up your DAZN so you don't forget. Make sure to re-up your DAZN. I just re-upped it right now. Literally just re-upped it. So, yeah. There's nothing I can do about it. You gotta, like I said, there's just nothing I can do about it. I apologize. But yeah, there's nothing I can do right now about the number. They're fixing it, so to speak, and that's all I can say about it. Let's get to some, but I am looking forward to Friday's card. It just has like development card going on. But either way, I do want to say this: Golden Boy, well, not Golden Boy, but Top Rank deserves, and I've given them credit for this whole time. I've ripped some of their fights, but I mean, it's really the ones that were like club level, maybe. Some of these heavyweight fights are like, that is club level, but are we sure that's all? We're just not used to having that kind of club level on TV. Usually that's more like prelims or like stream ESPN Plus or whatever. But overall, they showed a picture of the staff and, for the staff and everybody to have to take 2 months out of their life and be away from their family and go by the whole guidelines, the strict guidelines. And, I understand some people, were just dogging the fights all the time. And I dog some of them, but that's not really dogging them if you're just it's not even being critical if they are what they are. I mean, even the broadcasters like Bradley said, they wouldn't be on here. But you had your Clay Collard, you had some upsets, you had some good fights. Either way, it got us through June and July. It was a bridge. It gapped the bridge, okay? It literally was a bridge that led to here we are. The schedule's about to pop off. And so kudos to ESPN for doing it. Nobody else in boxing did it in June and July. So I really appreciate that part of it. Like I said, I was critical of some of the fights because they were like, come on, dude. But considering some of the not necessarily just short notice, but the lack of opponents, the lack of sparring, the lack of a full camp, it is different. I've seen a lot of this UFC boxing thing, and I understand kudos to UFC for bringing back their stuff, and they put on some damn good cards. You gotta give them credit, but it is different. It is a different sport, and I mean sometimes the fights are short. A lot of times the fights are shorter. You don't always have to have a 2-month camp. It's a different sport. It is a different sport. So I have heard a lot of people saying, where the hell is DAZN? Where the hell is PBC? Where the hell is Frank Warren? Where the hell is everybody? While Top Rank was doing it. And that is a fair statement. But I've always said, too, that I'm okay with people waiting if they give us good product. And in this case, Showtime waited, PBC waited, and they're giving us great product. So we'll get into that's what I'll close the show mostly with. We'll get into some of that. There is some news that I'll get to minorly, though, real quick here. Gilberto Ramirez is a free agent. Not really a big shocker here. because, the writing was kind of on the wall. He was going up to, he never really got too many big fights. I mean, the Jesse Hart fight, that's a good fight. And a while back, was it Abraham? That's where he kind of first broke out. He just kind of been in neutral, if we're being honest. He hasn't really, he's had some good fights, but nothing that, considering where he's at, considering just the sheer amount of fights he's had, it's like I said, it's not really that shocking. That he's moving on. Now, where is he going to move on to? I mean, if he's going to be at 168, DAZN has, some damn good 68s. So does the PBC, so that would fit. Now, if he's at 75, it's kind of like, well, where are you going? If you're at 175, you got better BF right there. That I don't know. I mean, do you have Pascal and do you have Badu Jack and Marcus Brown, and you have some light heavyweights. Well, they actually do have one coming up who's a youngster right now, but could you go there? Yeah. I mean, if this was before the pandemic, I just assumed that he'd go to DAZN because the money. I just figured they'd outbid everybody. But I'm not really sure where he's going to end up. I guess it's really what he wants to do with his career. Maybe he didn't like the deal he was getting. There's probably circumstances in there that we don't fully know just yet. I really don't know. But yeah. Adrian Broner, is he finally returning to the sport of boxing? Did Al Heyman get him his $10 million? He probably said, I'll give you $10 million, but it's going to be 2 fights worth. Sounds like he's back. I'm assuming since it's been so long, it'll probably be a mediocre opponent. Maybe not, though. I mean, Ivan Redkach, I don't know. He says he's going to be at 140, which Redkach, that probably fits Redkach better, too. But that definitely fits Broner better, on the surface anyway. But as we know, if you look at like a glacier, on the surface is just part of it. You don't know if he can actually make 140. He claims he's going to be at 140. We've heard that before. He has yet to lose a fight 140 and down. He has more power. He's just a better suited fighter obviously at 35, but even at 40, he's still really dangerous. And I think we can get back to him throwing more punches in combination too at 140, which we have actually seen him do more of. So we'll see. We'll see. But he's popping off like he's back, and so maybe he's going to be on FS1. Maybe FS1's trying to bleed out a good rating. Or maybe he's going to be on Fox, and they're going to put him on regular Fox. Or maybe it'll be Broner against somebody, Redkach or something, on the undercard of Garcia and Spence. I don't know about that, because that seems like Broner's going to, he comes with a price tag. So maybe we can get him on normal Fox, and they're going to try to pop a rating with him. Like I said, or FS1, I don't know. But he is a commodity in the game still. There's still young fighters that can build their names off him. Maybe they can get him in there in his next fight with the Regis Prograis or something like that. That would be pretty dope. But that's just, at this point, hearsay. You know what I'm saying? How long is Oscar De La Hoya going to go with this comeback? How long are we going to go with it? He was on the Chris Mannix DAZN podcast. And, this is from Keith Eidick. De La Hoya on fighting Canelo. The guys, don't get me wrong. Canelo and Oscar would pop the fuck off on DAZN. I know. I know I don't want to fucking see it. I get it. But they may be so desperate. I don't think they do that. But they may be so desperate that Oscar will fight on his own. And he can bring easily 1 million people for $20 or, $833, which is what I'm paying. I just gave him $100 for a year. So that would put me till midsummer next year. Okay. I just realized that. By the way, what's the zone going to do to the folks that paid $100? Like, what was it? March, April, May, and June, nothing. Are they still haven't? I've seen more people, and this is not just fans. It's part-time media members. Even full-time media members get screwed. Like, double charge them $100. Like, they've been screwing people way more than they've been saying, hey, we're going to hook you up in 4 months. We're going to give you an extra 4 months. Don't worry about it, And they may be in a place financially where they're just like, fuck it. These people are going to, who's ever going to subscribe are going to subscribe anyway. Fuck it. We'll give them their money back at some point, but I don't know. But anyway, this is Keith Eidick. Oscar De La Hoya didn't identify a potential opponent for the comeback he was considering. But he didn't eliminate an intriguing possible four for what would be his first fight in 12 years. And when Mannix brought up De La Hoya and Canelo for 2021, Alvarez promoter surprisingly didn't dismiss it. I don't know. Maybe. When Mannix, reminded him he didn't offer a firm no. He's like, hey, crazy, but not that crazy. And they are beefing. They are beefing already. So, maybe this fight's going to go down. De La Hoya has discussed coming back several times during his retirement, though this one does appear more serious this time around. I kind of agree. He said he sparred 6 rounds apiece during their training sessions. De La Hoya hopes to spar 12 rounds regularly by September, when he intends to better assess his possibility of comeback the first quarter of next year. Canelo is an amazing fighter. He's the best. He hits like a mule. I don't know, Chris. You're throwing me in the fire there, but that's a challenge that, I never back down from anybody. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, come on, dude. I think it'd actually be, although it would blow up, like I said, I think that they splitting it might be smarter still. Because, well, then you don't just get fucking demolished for one. Because he's way bigger than him, like where his best fights were, as we know. So you don't get demolished in one, but you also can literally bring easily 1 million people for $20 or $833. I think he can bring 1 million at this point for $20, Oscar. I'd be surprised if he couldn't, because it would just get so much attention. It would actually hit the mainstream fan. Here's Jamel Charlo, because he said, hey, you going to fight at 54? Here I am. Oscar says, I can do some damage in the 154-pound weight class. Oscar De La Hoya, I won't scare you or try to make you stop. Come on, you ain't been touched by this era. You said 154 because you know I'm the king. Let's go. That's what Jamel said. So, is this just a crock of shit? I don't fucking know. I really don't know, dude. It's desperate times calls for desperate measures. YouTubers, there was enough people that were okay with YouTubers. Is that worse than Oscar coming back? No, actually, and it's the same purpose. Well, we might get more subscribers. Isn't that the same fucking purpose anyway? And having Oscar, let's say he comes back in the first quarter. There is some other news that, I'll talk about it in a second here, but, if you look at Oscar, let's say he fights in March or something, or even the month right before, or the week or two before, well, maybe they want to break that up month after month, so people will either, throw down 100 and say fuck it, or because imagine if you're a Canelo fan and you say, oh, Canelo's fighting Golovkin, oh, and then but Oscar's returning, you'd probably pay $100 for that. Why wouldn't you? You've already paid $75 and $80 for 2 fights from Canelo and Golovkin. But anyway, we'll get to that in a second. The reason why I bring that up, we still don't have a fucking clue about Canelo Alvarez. We've heard, the way Eddie says it, they haven't even really been real deal talks. Still, I have 4 guys, and there really hasn't been many talks at all. So that's kind of like troubling. It's kind of like, well, okay, I guess so. So Callium Smith has reportedly now been offered $5 million. This is according to The Athletic. $5 million for the September 12th. It's a claim he was initially asked for. He initially asked for $6 million, but hopefully they can find an in between, because obviously they're not that far off. I think that would be pretty damn good. You know what I mean? That would be damn good. But I don't know. I just talked about this on Friday, so I really don't want to go into it. But we keep hearing, oh, we're gonna come with something. It's like, dog, of course you're gonna come with something. There's no way you're gonna lose out on another Mexican Independence Day. There's just no fucking way. Speaking of Mexican Independence Day, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., no surprise here, suspended indefinitely by Nevada in Arizona. The ban following Chavez refused to take mandated drug tests last October prior to his fight with Jacobs, which was moved from Vegas to Phoenix because of that. If upheld, the ruling could see him disqualified for fighting in the U.S. So, like I said, not a big shocker. I always thought that would catch up to him, obviously. But who knows? By the way, Alexander Usyk tweeted August 1st, big boxing return to Ukraine. Usyk's 17 promotion is debuting with the innovative sports. God damn, this tweet is all fucked up. Okay, there we go. Big boxing night. So I guess there's something big going on in the Ukraine. I don't know if that means him or not. I don't know. Who knows? Other news, we heard that Roman Gonzalez and Juan Estrada doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Next, Chocolatito has been talking about standing firm. If he wants $1 million, if they think I'm crazy, I can't do anything about it. I'm collecting what I am worth. Yeah, I mean, I think that's not that. I don't see that as kind of a horrible thing. News-wise, Julio Cesar Martinez's team has revealed that he has a throat infection, so he'll be forced to postpone his fight against McWilliams Arroyo. The fight was supposed to headline match from USA Return August 15th. I think that was going to be in Tulsa, if I remember correctly. I believe that's true. So yeah, there's some other news I'll talk about. What other news was I going to talk about? Oh, Navarrete and Magdanello. WBO ordered this fight at 126. Obviously, the WBO just got dropped, so it makes sense that it got dropped by Stevenson, right? So makes sense that that somebody in Top Rank would pick it up. I think that's not that shocking, right? We heard about. When Stevenson dropped it, we heard Michael Conlon, Ruben Villa, or Jesse Magdanello. Stevenson, by the way, has been installed as the #1 challenger. No surprise to Jamel Herring's WBO. If Herring can actually get his fight with the COVID thing, hopefully he can get through that. I wish him the best. And that's a good fight too, obviously. But as it turns out, the WBO has released latest rankings, yada yada yada, but they have formal plans to announce Manuel Navarrete and Jesse Magdanello 1 versus 2. If Navarrete or Magdanello is not available for whatever reason, we will jump to number 3, which is Ruben Villa. We will touch base with Top Rank since they're both promoted, and then the fight will get ordered. So that's a good fight. I'm not worried about trinkets and all that and vacant belts, whatever. I think that's a good fight. Here's Frank Espinoza, Magdanello's manager. That's a fight we want. It'll be a great battle. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the bubble or not. I would like to see that fight take place no later than September or October. It's not going to be an easy fight, but we're really motivated. My guy can prevail. And yet another interesting development, previous number 1 ranking Conlon, another top-ranked fighter, was removed from the WBO 126 rankings. Okay, so now he sits at 3 at 122. The move suggests that Conlon plans on dropping weight and campaigning at featherweight limit after going through full body analysts determined that he can make the 122. Campaigning at the featherweight limit. Okay, that dropping down in weight, it says campaigning at the featherweight, but that clearly wouldn't be featherweight. Which if he can make 122, I mean that's a tough division, but I think it lines up for Conlon a little bit better. I'll say that. I think that's fair to say. So, there is just a couple other news that we'll get to. Of course, we'll cover some boxing Twitter as well, some comments, but we obviously got to talk about the Showtime schedule that got announced not long ago. Here's those 2 fights I was talking about with Top Rank and ESPN. Alvarez Smith was, that was, when was that scheduled? It was in July, right? It's a couple of weeks ago, I think. I think that's what it was. Obviously, there was an injury. So now that is going to be August 22nd, which is about a month away, give or take, because it is July 22nd. Which I like that fight. I think that's a really good fight. I was looking forward to it until it got canceled or postponed, I should say. So we got a good fight. And then, like I said, going out with a bang August 29th, Jose Ramirez and Victor Postol, which, that's awesome. Both fights will be at the MGM Grand Conference Center where they stage the summer events. Those are really good fights. One of them is mid-level fight that I really like. It's kind of like a crossroads fight with Alvarez and Smith. 2 guys that can punch. Especially of late with Alvarez, has started to get more power, and I mean not like his last fight, but of late the last couple of years. But yeah, that's a hell of a way to go out. Those are 2 really good fights. Here's some other news. This is the Cop, Mike Coppinger. Canelo and Golovkin agreed to a 3rd fight. Per sources, Alvarez will earn $45 million. Golovkin $30 million. Rematch generated $27 million at the gate. That is actually wrong. $27 million was the first fight. The second fight was less. But who really gives a shit? I'm just doing it for accuracy. But I'm pretty sure the rematch actually was more like 23 or 24 or 22 or 25. I don't know. It was lower, but not really that lower. Like I said, I'm just doing it for accuracy. But so the trilogy won't happen without fans, obviously, for obvious reasons, right? So May 2021 is what they're steering towards. Whether that actually happens or not, we don't know. We do not know what will happen there, but hopefully by next May we can have crowds, like full crowds. That would be great. That would probably put us through the second wave, if there is a second wave, not the one that is already here, but the other second wave that they talked about that potentially could happen. We don't know during flu season. Hopefully we could actually be good to go. DAZN wants that bad. And like I said, if Oscar is, going ahead with this nonsense, if he's coming back, you put him in a month or 2 before to kind of, get things going for DAZN. And I think 1 million people easy. Well, I shouldn't say easy, but I'd be surprised if Oscar, for $20 or $833 a month, which like I said, if they can get a good schedule, which we know they can, if they can put a good schedule together for, let's say, a couple months, like they do the fight seasons, right? And Canelo and Golovkin 3 is in that. The amount of people you can get to have signed up just for Oscar, and then knowing Canelo's coming, like, I really think they get a fair amount of $100 signups. That would be, in my opinion, that would be their most $100 signups for the year between Oscar and Canelo, because you just look at it and go, well, what the fuck? Who cares? I got Canelo. I paid $75 or $80 for that fight now twice. Why not? And I got Oscar. Oh, Ryan Garcia. Oh, Virgil. Yeah, Mikey Garcia maybe. Okay, yeah. You know what I mean? Especially if they got Garcia Pacquiao. But that's neither here nor there. But I don't fucking know, man. You know, the Oscar. I'm not looking forward to that fight. I already have the fucking thing. So I already have the thing. I already have the sub. It is what it is, in my opinion. Just a little follow-up on that McWilliams-Arroyo. Obviously, you know, due to his illness, he's going to be out. It's not COVID-related, but it does look like Cecilia Breakhouse and Jessica, McCaskill, they will be bumped up, elevated to the main event August 15th. And now Madirov and Madirov, that the up-and-coming fighter against Eric Walker, will be the co-feature. So, you know, I was looking forward to, like, I like Martinez a lot. He's really come on the scene. He's an action fighter. And I thought that fight with him and Arroyo was just going to be a fun fight to watch. You know what I mean? But, you know, it's going to be postponed. Who knows? Maybe it'd be nice if they put that action-packed fight, which it should be, on the Canelo undercard, like as the co-feature. My guess is they're going to bring Ryan Garcia back at that time. But who knows? Who knows? Who really knows? So yeah, that's about it for news. I will get to some boxing Twitter as we close the showdown. But dude, we gotta talk about this frickin' schedule. I mean, I really, really, really like this schedule for Showtime. This kind of just announces, boxing being back. I mean, I liked Golden Boy and what they had put out. I really liked that Fortuna and Linares fight. To me, that's Crossroads fight written all over it. Sign me up for that fight. I liked the card got a little banged up, but no big deal. I like the return coming this Friday. I've already talked about how Matchroom Sports, they have it's DAZN, but not necessarily a bunch of DAZN USA, but it's still DAZN, USA as far as we're going to get to watch those fights on Sky Sports. But they got a lot of, some good mid-level fights that'll just be really good. They're a little, I'd say, driven, domestically. Shouts out to the UK fans. They may get into it more than we get into some of these fights more because, they know them better. They've seen them, develop. Sometimes one of these fights will just make a contender, that type of thing. But, of course, the Dillian White and Povetkin fight in Persone and Katie Taylor, that's a damn good card right there. And I do like some of the fights, especially when they come all together, like Joe Joyce and Du Bois when they fight in October. I think that's October 24th. They got some Stay Busy fights coming up and all that. And some of those fights, like I said, some of them are mid-level fights, good quality fights that may turn out to be good TV fights for Warren and all that. But Showtime, as of right now, PBC Showtime, obviously they take the cake. I mean, you got to be out of your mind if you don't think this right now. And Fox still can layer their fall schedule. ESPN going out with a bang, too, on August. Hopefully we get some big fights from them to close out the year. DAZN, we know their roster. We know some of that, that Jesse Vargas and Mikey Garcia card was a great card. I'd say the best triple header of the year so far. They've had some great fights, good undercard fights. So with their roster, unless they're really just held back financially, I don't see why they can't go out with a bang. So, like I said, the last 5 months of this year is going to be great. But let's get to some of these Showtime fights. Now, I'm going to kind of go through some of them and then just break it down, right? I'll go through the ones. There's 2 pay-per-views, which to close the year, we're going to probably have 4 pay-per-views, maybe 5. So that'll put us somewhere in the 4 to 6 range on the year. Obviously, Wilder and Fury, we already had one, and they're going to have one. You assume that Teofimo and Lomachenko is going to be that one, although it's going to be hard to fit them in now. And let's be fair, that might get pushed back to next year just because they still haven't even been offered the fights. That's crazy. So I don't know about that, but then you assume Spence and Garcia is a pay-per-view. And then we do have Gervonta. Well, let's get to the pay-per-views in a second. Let's get to the normal stuff here. August 1st, really looking forward to this fight. Stephen Fulton Jr., 18-0 against Angelo Leo. Or is it Leo? 19-0. To me, now this is for a vacant WBO belt that Navarrete let down. That's a little surprising that the WBO, we have seen the WBO in recent, I wouldn't say weeks, I guess, because, the pandemic has been here. But in recent times, the last 6 months, maybe 9 months, we've seen more PBC fighters ranked under the WBO, which is something we hadn't seen before. As much, anyway. So to me, that's a great fight. These guys are right on that contender level, and they both need a legitimate opponent. Now, I'm not saying Fulton Jr. hasn't fought some legitimate opponents. This is just a good fight. It's coming in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, I guess, not this Saturday, but next. The co-feature is Tremaine Williams, undefeated, against Aleem. I know Aleem pretty well. I know I've seen both these guys fight a couple times. Once again, prospect against prospect, undefeated guys. This is actually for a title eliminator. So, it is what it is. It's a good fight. Joe George against Marcus Escudero, 10-0 against 10-1. I think they're what are they? I think 175, right? So, sign me up for that card. August 15th, David Benavidez in Romero Angulo. Now, is this a great fight? Stylistically, just because Benavidez, any fucking fight he's going to be in is going to be fun to watch. He's had some fights where he kind of fights on levels. He had the rematch, a couple years back. So, to me, this is just like a good TV fight. It's nothing special. Obviously, he's kind of tied up in his WBC shit because he has Yildirim, which I like better as an opponent. We all want to see him against Caleb Plant. But don't get your hopes up that that's going to be next because, I guess they could give Yildirim some step-aside money. I don't know. I really don't have a fucking clue. Rolando Romero and Jackson Martinez. 2 undefeated fighters going at it once again. It has that showbox feel on the undercard, which I really like. Rolando, obviously the favorite there. But I've seen Jackson fight before. This is kind of interesting. I wonder what kind of shape both these guys are in, but even Travis Kaufman, I think he's been out for a while. But Oda Wallen, who had a fight, who was he going to fight? Was it Brown? I can't remember. But Oda Wallen against Travis Kaufman, for what it is, I don't mind that fight. And stylistically, that could be good. Wallen obviously gave Tyson Fury a much better fight than we all expected. So that's a good fight for him. And now this fight, I'm really jazzed for this one. September 19th, Erickson Lubin against Terrell Boucher. And it's a WBC title eliminator, right? This is a damn good fight. Talk about Is it too early for these guys to talk about crossroads? Maybe. Maybe. Look at Tony Harrison. We saw him take some losses and come back and have a damn good, performances. Even though he lost that last fight, I had him up 6-4, I think, before the whole thing went out. Then we got Tug. What is it, Nabaria? Or what is it, Nyambara? King Tug is what they called him, who put up a pretty good fight against Russell Jr. He's fighting Eduardo Ramirez, so that's a good title. Not title fight. I think it's like an eliminator, but that's a good fight. That's all right. And then we don't have a name for it yet, but also Jaron Ennis is on this card. He's the opener, 25-0, 23-0, or 23 KO. Excuse me. I don't know who he's fighting, but I'm glad he's part of it because obviously I figured maybe he'd come back on a ShoBox. I really don't know, but that's signed me up once again. We knew about this fight. We just didn't know where it was going to be. October 10th, Sergey Lipinets against Abdu Karaharov. They're both, well, not both. He's undefeated, 15-0. Lipinets obviously has that loss to Mikey Garcia, but that's probably a good fight right there. That's probably going to be a good fight. That's for the interim welterweight title. This is a fight that got delayed and all that, but this is going to be, I like that fight, Xavier Martinez and Claudia Marrera. Where Xavier Martinez is, once again, what is he, 130, I think? Marrera, you never know. What's he got left in the tank? He's always dangerous. I like that fight. Here's another one. Malik Hawkins, undefeated, going against Matias, who actually had a decent win. He's got some power. That's an interesting fight right there. So that's like a hardcore fight fan. Like, okay, we got some prospect stuff. We got somebody that's going to get an interim fight. But it's still just like guys that it creates a contender even more with Lipinets. If he wins that fight, but even if he loses, obviously, I think he'll win that fight, but I think it kind of creates kind of like a top 10 contender type fight. So I like that fight. Then November 28th, main event, Chris Colbert against Jaime, or what is it? Or I have the list here. Hold on. I can't remember who the hell. I want to say it was. He just fought not that recently. I mean, obviously, pandemic-wise, not that recently. What the hell was it? It's Jaime. God damn it! What's up with the screen here? Let me get the schedule out here so I know. Arboleda, something like that. I think that's what it is. Damn, maybe I should just try to look at this tweet really quick. Okay, so yeah, that's who it is. That's who it is because he's coming off. He was in a tight fight with. He stumbled early, like a couple years back. Arboleda is coming out of Miami. Velez actually stumbled with Velez, or he stumbled, but he fought Velez pretty evenly. He won the fight, but it was a close ass fight. So where Colbert is, once again, this is his 15th fight. I think it's good. Now, I like this fight from a prospect level, the co-feature. Richardson Hitchens, 11-0, takes on Mendez, which he's a good vet, past his prime, no doubt, but still, that's a good development fight. And then here's a fight that I can't wait for. This was on the schedule before. I think it was in May, if I remember correctly. Maybe in April, but I think it was May. December 12th to close out the year for Showtime anyway. Ubali against Donaire. Donaire. This is a good fight right here. Ubali kind of likes to get loose, right? And Donaire, I mean, he looked pretty damn good, Donaire, in his last fight, right? So, I mean, okay, here we go. Like, sign me up for that stuff. Pumped about that fight. Now, so, I mean, those cards right there, that doesn't include a Clarissa Shields fight. Maybe she's going to be on Fox now. Of course, she's not with Heyman, is she? So maybe something else is going on. I don't know. But maybe, I don't know, maybe she'll be on a Friday fight. Maybe she's going to the zone. I have no clue. And this doesn't involve show boxes, which I assume there's going to be some show boxes. Now, I guess there is potential budget-wise where they just shut down the show boxes because, finances and decide to put out this bomb-ass schedule and say, hey, fuck it, we can't do any more show boxes. We just combine the budget or something. I don't know. I mean, it's not like show boxes are that expensive. I'm anticipating some show boxes on Friday nights, obviously, a couple of them at least. But if they don't do it, you got to take the good with the bad. So I'd be okay. Now, getting to the pay-per-views, and of course the BBC, when HBO was doing pay-per-views, sometimes 4 or 5 a year, I think they got all the way up to 7. Well, I mean, they did get into double digits, like mid-2000s, they were close to double digits or right in that level. I'm talking really about the last 10 years, give or take, the last decade or so. They're always going to get, I shouldn't say always, but they usually get some heat for their pay-per-views. No matter if they're good or not, no matter if they hook up their undercards, they got a lot of shit for Spence and Porter. That turned out to be a damn good undercard and a damn good fight. I even saw, this wasn't as, bad, but I saw even some for the Pacquiao-Thurman. I was like, wow, so you guys are going to rip this fight on pay-per-view. But that wasn't as heavy. I did see some buyer beware with that as far as, I think Woodsy said that actually, over that, because he said buyer beware. Like, well, don't come be mad at me if Thurman tries to stink out the joint. It's not like Thurman sticks out the joint. It's only when he has a big lead, and then he kind of, he's like, I'm good. I'll win the fight like he did against Garcia. But he's not known to just stick out the joint in general. So that always threw me off, but not really because, that's what happens in the boxing media, unfortunately. But we all knew that Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz was going to be a pay-per-view. If you don't like it, cool. It is what it is. Now, I hope you didn't like Canelo versus Liam Smith and didn't buy that, or Canelo versus Chavez Jr., or Mayweather against Berto, or Pacquiao against Rios, or Pacquiao against Algieri, or whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever. Or whatever. I hope that was the same feeling towards that. This fight is going to be at 130, which I really like, because it would take it down a notch for me, and most fans, I think this is agreeable. It would take it down a notch for me if, in fact, they, this is at 135, because it just would. Because for Leo to go up to 130 and try to adapt, at least he got a fight up there where he looked good but not great. And for him to all of a sudden have to go, oh, there's another one. It's like, oh, dude, now you're going to win up another weight class. To me, that was a problem. I would have been like, I'm not feeling the fight as much now. But 130, regardless, because there's some weight stipulations, obviously. They're going to do that. Meaning, whatever Tank goes over, he's going to owe money. I'm assuming that's in the contract. I'm not saying Tank can't make the weight. I hope he does. But that adds something to him. He hasn't been at the weight now in a little bit. We had a pandemic. He hasn't fought since December. So, yeah, to me it's kind of like, is he going to be able to make 130 or get to 133 or 132 or 131. Let's say he didn't get there, but he had to wear himself down just to get there. You know, that's something. Even that is actually an advantage for Leo. You know, that's an advantage for Santa Cruz. So, you know, to me, I like the fight. Santa Cruz got a legit jab. He's got some distance on him, or height, I should say. If he fights smart like he did against Frampton the second time, and like we've seen him at times, that jab is going to be something, dude. Like, a lot of people, I know that I call him Mr. Need a Big Fight, Leo Santa Cruz, or Leo, Mr. Big Fight, Need a Big Fight now, Santa Cruz. His last couple opponents, it's like, all right, dude, we need a big fight. And now he delivered. You know, we talked about Gary Russell Jr. and him in the beginning of the year, right? And even kind of in the fall, winter time, and in the spring too. That was the conversation, and that's cool. You know, Gary Russell Jr. for years was happy to fight once a year. His injuries, you know, early and midway through his career did hold him back. I've always said that. But he was happy with fighting once a year, and I mentioned this before, that sometimes when you're having to come back and fight a mandatory, if you get hurt, like let's say there's a big fight down later that year. Well, let's say you come back in April and you get hurt out for 4 to 6 months. Well, there goes that fight. And how are you going to keep investing in someone that only wants to fight once a year? So I really thought that Leo Santa Cruz got a lot more shtick the last, I think some of it had to do with his recent opponents, of course. But to blame it all on Santa Cruz when now Gary Russell's talking shit. Now he wants the big fights. Now he wants all this stuff. Now he wants to fight 2 times a year. And I applaud him for that. But let's look at the last 5 years. You know, now we have 5 names. 2 fights with Abner Mares, really fun fights to watch. And 2 fights with Frampton. And now Gervonta. So if you're going to just rip Leo and leave Gary Russell alone just because Gary Russell now all of a sudden wants big fights and wants to fight twice a year, I don't know what to tell you, dude. I mean, yeah, he didn't fight Leo. He didn't fight Russell. But, hey, the fighter of the year that had just beaten him. He beat Carl Frampton in a rematch where he fought damn good. He needs those skills, though, in this fight, long story short. And Gervonta needed a big fight as well. And so, name-wise, I mean, this is going to be, I think that clearly his best fight, the best opponent he's had. Now, we can sit there and say, Pedraza is better. I don't think Pedraza is better than Santa Cruz. Now, the weight might be the issue, potentially. But like I said, for Davis to have to come to 130, I think that kind of, in a sense, evens it out. Not that it's a straight 50-50 fight. I do think Gervonta's favored, but there was some success that Rosado had by coming forward to him. Now, he probably shouldn't have used that early, but he did have some success. Not as much as he wanted to. But this is a step-up fight for Gervonta. We all wanted to see him in a good fight, and this is a good fight. Now, with a crowd, this would have done a big gate. I think it'll do good numbers on pay-per-view. Good numbers, not great. But this needed to be on pay-per-view in general to make, but it now really needs to be on pay-per-view because, lack of the gate. Now, can some of these, there is potential that some of these could have partial crowds. Right now, that doesn't seem to be it doesn't seem like that's the case, but you never know. We have heard, the NFL, because they have these huge stadiums, we're going to try to get fans in this year. But anyway, sign me up for this fight. Pay-per-view, okay, cool. I mean, it's a good fight. It's a quality fight. Now, we don't know the undercard. And maybe Broner's going to be on the undercard. But that's, like I said, money-wise, that seems like to pay Tank, to pay Santa Cruz, and then also to pay Broner, and there is no, crowd, or even if it's a limited crowd, it's probably not going to be big enough, right? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But I like this fight. It's a legit fight. It's a legit fight at 130. Burchelt in Oscar Valdez, I don't see that. I don't see a difference between Gervonta and Leo and Oscar, because Oscar's shown plenty of. He doesn't have as good as wins as Santa Cruz. Sure, Santa Cruz has a loss, but it was DeFrampton who won the Fighter of the Year off of beating him, and then he beat him. So I like the fight. Now, let's get into the one that I did see on my timeline. Well, I shouldn't say on my timeline. Like, if you go under, because my timeline was actually semi-snoozing. Consider it's lunchtime. Consider I looked at it for on and off, like maybe 5, 6 times, 7 times, in about a 90-minute to 2-hour stretch meeting. It gave people some time to find out about these fights, But my timeline was mysteriously quiet, considering this wave of fights. Now, some of my timeline believe Showtime shouldn't even be in business. Some of my timeline just believe Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn that they're out of business. Some of my timeline doesn't like the PBC. That's just true. Now, some of my timeline are pro PBC. Some of my timeline are fanboys PBC. But I'd say the fans and the part-time media, where are you? You say you're this hardcore fight fan. Where the fuck are you with this announcement? And I'm not saying it's going to be like on a fight night where everybody's tuned into a fight and that's literally my timeline almost. I'm not saying that, but it was mysteriously quiet. I saw Raging Babe said this. Saw some other folks say this. I started looking around. And then I saw even Coppinger, like if you look at under one of his tweets. Well, here's an example, actually, now that I'm talking about it. And we'll get to this Charlo thing here. But this is what Coppinger said. The only fight offered with a Showtime subscription I'm really looking forward to is Obali Donaire, December 12th. He likes the Charlo stuff. He likes the Gervonta, but those are pay-per-views. So they have 9 live events, 9 world champions, 8 world championship fights, 18 undefeated fighters. I just mentioned, so you're telling me, what about August 1st? You don't like those fights? Like that just makes no sense to me. I mean, it makes perfect sense because ever since DAZN gave a big sponsor to The Athletic, Coppinger switched up his thing. He's no longer tied to PBC with Fox. Now he's with DAZN, basically, and he's the same guy that said, first of all, his co-host, Pug, he was dogging Jermell Charlo at 160. That's cool, but they were also saying just in general that he doesn't have any quality opponents and he needs a big fight. Now, he needed a big fight, no doubt, but there's plenty of fighters, Munguia, there's plenty of fighters, Burchelt, that don't have or have similar names that you could sit there and rip, but he's like, all the insiders say he's just a clown and this and that. It's like, okay, man, that kind of, scratched my head. But you don't think Lubin and Goucher is a good fight? You're not looking towards Lubin and Goucher, and then I think he said, oh, that's a good co-feature. It's like, all right, dude, let me see. When you say co-feature, I mean, what about some of the main events? What about the Miami main event with DAZN? If it wasn't for the undercard, that's a shit card. Now, I like the undercard. I love the undercard, actually. But, you had a YouTube fight that was over before it started in a shit fight in the main event. I mean, now he could have tweeted something about that, don't get me wrong, but to say the only fight on this schedule that's not on pay-per-view, The only one that he's looking forward to is just the Donaire. And seriously? Like, wow. But like I said, and I didn't finish this sentence. I just realized that. But he's the one that said they needed to find, and PBC and ESPN needed to find a way, and this just cracks me up. They needed to find a way to put Wilder and Fury on free TV. I mean, come on, dude. Come on, dude. It was a successful first pay-per-view. The gate was bigger than a lot of people thought it would be. I know, including myself. The gate was humongous. Almost 17 mil? The gate was humongous. And you're going to say that they had to. So they both had like guarantees of like at least combined $40 million. So Fox and ESPN had to put that on normal TV. Get the fuck out of here. Like, that's a legit pay-per-view, you dummy. Come on, dude. But anyway, I'm going to end. I mean, I got some boxing Twitter stuff coming. But I am going to end with this pay-per-view with the Charlo twins. Now, I got word yesterday, and then it seemed like I heard a little bit about, okay, Charlo Derevchenko is a pay-per-view. Now, I was scratching my head right away saying they got to hook up. The co-feature has to be money, and they have to make it an interesting undercard. Not that I don't think Charlo and Derevchenko is a legit fight, because it is, but for pay-per-view, I know that they're not going to have the gate, but it kind of had me going, is that true? And so I heard about it, but then I saw Coppinger and Dan Raphael say it, and I thought, okay, wow, there's got to be something to this. They got to make it worth their money. They have to. And in my opinion, they did. Now, when I break down pay-per-views, no matter who the fuck it comes from, because like I said, I know the PBC always, since they've been in the pay-per-view business, which is recent, they have gotten shit on. No matter if they deliver us, Pacquiao, Thurman, one of the best fights of last year in a decent undercard. That would have been a little better. There was Lipinets fell off the card. Porter, Spence, one of the best fights of the year. Damn good undercard, too, for what we're used to in, say, the last 10 years. Wilder Ortiz, people shit on that fight. Couldn't figure out why that was on pay-per-view, even though they know they have big guarantees. They have the big guarantee from what DAZN offered. So, they had to match it. PBC, I'm speaking of. Damn good undercard as well, if people forget. That's a damn good undercard. People shit on that fight. Oh, it's going to be just one-sided, nothing to it. Ortiz is an old man. He won almost every round. Like, come on, dude. So here we are. So my criteria is a legit main event that's a damn good fight. It has to at least be 2 top 10 guys going at it. Preferably 2 top 5 guys, right? Or, if you have Pacquiao or if you have Mayweather, you have these names, Canelo, it is what it is. I didn't buy Liam Smith and Canelo or Chavez and Canelo, but I understand some of that shit. I get it. I didn't buy Mayweather Berto either. So, that's what I'm saying. The last 10 years, undercard-wise, main event card-wise, what have we got? So, they're making it, it's a twin bill. So we got not only Charlo Derevchenko, damn good fight at middleweight. Jacobs and Canelo are not at middleweight anymore. So you have Golovkin, Charlo, Andre, and Derevchenko. Now there's more than that, but I'm saying right now those 4 stand out, right, as far as where they're at in their careers. Well, Derevchenko and Golovkin fought a damn tight fight. Jacobs and Derevchenko fought a damn good fight. Close fight. Jacobs pulled it out. Golovkin pulled it out. That was even closer. This is a good fight. Now, they have Charlo and Rosario on the fight. So it is the lineal. I know people are going to be like, oh, it's not undisputed. I don't give a shit. This is a big fight. This is for the lineal. I mean, even Dougie Fisher, who by the way, you know, I followed in a lot of ways, respect Doug Fisher. I followed him for a long time. Back in the day, we used to have him on the show. We don't follow each other anymore. You know, it is what it is. I was never great friends with him. I'm not saying that. But I used to tweet out his, you know, mailbag every week. And, you know, I followed the guy for a long-ass time, like many of us did. Now, he hates the PBC. He is super unfair to the PBC. This is his tweet today. Charlo Rosario are the ring number 1 and number 2 junior middleweights, as well as holders of 3 major titles, WBC, WBA, IBF. We know that the WBO is there. We know that, okay? And I think, isn't it a PBC and a, maybe that fights, wasn't Castano going to fight for that belt? I can't remember. But anyway, so basically the ring vacant 154 will be on display. Props to all involved making. So when you have a lineal title on the line, that's a damn good, and that sounds like that's going to be the main event, because that's going to be nice. Okay, and what's the co-feature in a sense? His brother against Derevyanchenko. That's fucking good, dude. I mean, there's not going to be that many good co-features out there in the last 10 years that are going to be able to hang right there with it. There has been some better, not many better, though, if we're being honest. This is a damn good middleweight fight. So, but not only that, like I said, they had to deliver. They did deliver. What I look at pay-per-views for, well, not what I look at them for. You know, now, do I go to the theater if the theaters are open by then? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I mean, the Charlos have gotten some mainstream looks, and I think that the combination of Derevyanchenko and Golovkin fighting recently, and Derevyanchenko fighting that good, right, that well against them. And then the last year, probably a year and a half, if you look at it, you know, they had that December 2018 that peaked over 2 million, the Charlo, you know, doubleheader. Then it was supposed to be Charlo Harrison rematch, but it turned out to be Coda, right? That peaked at like 1.7, 1.8. And then they turned around and peaked over 2 million again, Charlo did, Jermel, last December, that they went out with a bang with that fight. That was a damn good fight. So they have gotten some mainstream attention in and around 2 million, 3 fight cards in a row. Now, that's another thing that kind of threw me off when I heard Charlo Derevyanchenko all by itself. Well, it wasn't going to be all by itself, but I didn't know the other Charlo was going to be on there at the time. So that kind of threw me off because you'd think, damn, I mean, you know, Jermall was the one that they put back on Showtime, and, you know, you just get okay ratings. You don't get great ratings. And so I was a little like, but now that I see it all together, yeah, I'm okay with this pay-per-view. Not only that, but there's 6 bouts total. And they're flipping the switch on it a little bit. They're doing a late afternoon with I think a minor intermission, and then a late, like a evening card. So whether that starts at 5 Eastern or 6 Eastern, I don't know. Will that, you know, that probably makes it so they don't go super late either. Because if there's 3 fights and then 3 fights, that's pretty damn good. 6 fights on a pay-per-view. And, you know, that kind of makes sense to have an intermission, because 6 fights is a long time, and a lot of these fights probably go the distance. So I don't know when it exactly starts, because I don't have that information. I don't think that's been released just yet. But they literally have a bundle of cards on it. So, like, that's pretty dope. That surprises me, you know. I'm looking at it like, wow, okay. So they have main event 1, main event 2. So main event 1 is Charlo and Derevyanchenko. Now there's fights before it. Diego Magdanello against Isaac Cruz. Not a bad fight at all. Diego's coming off a big win. It's actually a title eliminator. Good fight. Brandon Figueroa against this actually got called as is mandatory, I think. Brandon Figueroa against because Figueroa was just in a was that Ceja that draw that was a tight ass fight if I remember correctly. That was his last fight. Brandon Figueroa against Damian Vasquez. Decent fight, probably a good stylistic fight. So that's the first part of it. So there's a co-feature, and then the main event. Now the night session, you have Charlo and Rosario, which I think this time didn't they flip the coin for that Fox card? I think they flipped the coin. And also, if one of their brother loses, they don't have to go right. That mental thing that kind of fucked with them, that Goosen and other trainers have talked about when they had brothers fighting on the same card and how that kind of did distract them. That happens too, because what if Derevchenko beats Charlo? Well, then his brother has more time to kind of recoup. I know that people are going to say, oh, you're soft and all that, but it is what it is. Now, Daniel Roman. So the second main event, which I think is the full main event, which it should be if you look at importance, Charlo and Rosario, right? And then you had Daniel Roman against who was a PBC fighter. I guess now he is back on the PBC. He was a PBC fighter before. I know he signed a deal. He lost to MJ. I don't know if he's still with Eddie or not now. I'm starting to think no, but I don't know. But he was supposed to fight Rodriguez. That fight is not happening. So we'll see who Daniel, coming off a loss, we'll see who Roman will get matched up with. They have plenty of 122-pounders. So that there shouldn't be a problem there. But Barrios and Ryan Cowboy Carl. Now, this is a stay busy fight for Barrios. Stylistically, hell yeah. You know Cowboy Carl, that's where the Carl came from. He comes to fight. He's limited. He comes to fight. It is what it is. But Barrios is coming off a fight that he took a ton of punishment in. So I don't really mind that fight. So, Cruz and Magdaleno, good fight. Vasquez Figueroa, pretty good fight. Barrios against Carl, action-wise, it should be good. None of these are just crazy, but when you got a main event legit and a co-feature legit, this is just gravy. So 6 fights. It's a double-header pay-per-view, 6 fights. I mean, that's value, dude. They are giving us value. So, all in all, without trying to break down these fights too much, because we got to do it the week of, right? I don't know who's complaining about this shit. I don't know who's not getting hyped for this shit. But you guys got a problem. You got a big-time problem if you're not hyped for these fights. Yeah, it was Emmanuel Rodriguez. I guess that's out. That would have been good. Roman against Rodriguez, elimination bout. Hell yeah. So, yeah, the Charlo twins in legitimate fights, judging the pay-per-view off the last decade. If you bought a bunch of these pay-per-views, I don't know what to tell you, dude. If this doesn't do something for you, I don't know what to tell you. You're obviously a hating-ass motherfucker. Sorry to say it. I'm actually not sorry to say it, but it is what it is what it is. Showtime. Here's some boxing Twitter. I'll close the show on this. Showtime is deciding to have an intermission between their 6-fight double header. So it's this is funny. So it's easier to take time, or it's easier to take to time taking. Oh, it's easier to take to time taking. Oh, it's an easier time taking a second edible. Very progressive on their part. Impressive. It's all one price, like I said, too. It's not like they're double charging you or something like that. Some kind of weird shit. I did actually see some people say that right off the bat. It's like, dude, calm down. Big shouts out to all those folks that, thought Showtime was done. To the Showtime Boxing is in Trouble crowd. One canary in the coal mine is if Wilder and Ortiz, the rematch, goes to Fox, If Showtime Boxing was a stock right now, my short-term instinct is to buy it up. But if the pay-per-view goes to Fox, which it did, then they're fucked. But yeah, that's when you know Showtime has lost the battle, when people assume the card is on Fox. And don't get me wrong, I dogged late 2014, especially 2015 and 2019. I dogged Showtime. It's not even really dogging them, if we're being honest, because they were putting out good product. So I was there. By the way, that the Charlo Derevyanchenko first odds that I saw, Paddy Power, Betfair, plus 110 for Derevyanchenko, minus 137 for Charlo. That's what you call a 50-50 fight. And then plus 275 for Rosario. I'm guessing that'll go down, minus 400 for Charlo. That's one where you go, let me take a look at that. Here's what Raging Babe said earlier, which I totally, agreed. And she went on to say more about the top rank cards too as well, as far as the media. But here's what she said. Some media haven't said a peep yet about the Showtime schedule. Some only retweeted one or two things. No side of the street, please. We are all in a pandemic. We should want to see all boxing do well, regardless of it. I said what I said. Now, Raging Babe, more power to her. I do. The only thing I'd say about her is she used to just dog out PBC fighters and Al Heyman consistently. These fighters need promotion. They need exposure. They need this. They need that. Meanwhile, they were getting exposure. So I do have a problem with that, but she is legit there. And I'm also not ripping her. She's a local regional promoter, dude, who's doing her thing. And she's got a lot of hustle to her. So I appreciate her. Dana White's putting together one of the biggest fights of the year on a week's notice, while the punk-ass boxing promoters are sitting on their ass. Eddie Hearn, Heyman, Golden Boy. That's from my guy Gaios. I think we figured that out. Oh, Daniel Kinahan, a suspected 1.1 billion, Irish gang lord, ran boxing using fear and bullying. It's kind of interesting that comes up, because that farmer said he got these threatening phone calls, and then someone came to his house. I don't know if that's true, but that farmer that was allegedly accusing Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury witnessed, this is what he said, I've had one or two obscure phone calls, and I've had 2 visits to my home. One was at midnight. There were 2 of them. I answered the door and got rid of them. They were meddling, really. Oh, Monday night there was a similar thing. I know one of them. I told them I have a number for the police and that they've called. So this is allegedly. I don't know for sure, but that's kind of crazy if that's true. I don't know for a fact. So yeah, it is what it is. What else we got here? Some boxing Twitter before we get out of here. People don't know how to score fights. Examples: Regis did not beat Josh Taylor. I agree, it was a tight fight, but I gave Taylor. Pac didn't beat K. Thurman's ass. I agree with that. I thought that was 7-5. Chenko and Ugas lost close decisions over GGG. They weren't robberies. I agree with that. That's actually a legit tweet there. Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Takashi Uchiyama. Asian boxing, it looks like they're according to Asian boxing, they're going to link up and fight, which is just, ridiculous. It's something that I'm not going to go into too much. Ray Mancini, Boom Mancini, He freaking has a new granddaughter. Congratulations to him. But his tweet was money, dude. You know she's my granddaughter when she already knows how to keep that right hand up. And sure as shit, this little baby, cute brown eyes, has her right hand up. Nice, she's talking on the phone, right? She's on a phone conversation, just like, they say. That shit is hilarious, dude. Wow. It's so true, dude. It's so true. Okay, one more before we get out of here. I liked Lomachenko more before they put him on the pedestal and gave him the franchise title. You got to fight in a 4-man tournament before you get a shot at Loma. It's ridiculous. The only fights Loma had since 2018 have been Crolla and Campbell. It's been a wasted couple of years. Someone agreed and said, it has been a wasted couple of years. I wouldn't call it wasted. What he really wanted was Mikey unification, but certain people love to blame Bob. But in reality, the blame goes to Mikey for being seduced by the whispers of the great Al Heyman. So it's Mikey's fault because, have you ever heard, Bob Arum talk about Mikey? And not only that, but he talk about him like as far as negotiation. He's saying, fuck that guy. I'm not going to negotiate shit. Here's my offer, take it or leave it type shit. Spread a bunch of misinformation about Mikey, too. But it was the whispers of the great Al Heyman. The whispers. And Mikey stayed a free agent. It was like a handshake, fight-by-fight deal with Heyman, by the way. But that fight was never going to happen. Wasted couple of years. I don't think it's been wasted. And he's about to fight, well, hopefully, he's about to fight Tiafimo. So, I mean, I think ESPN's done a pretty damn good job with him. They put him on some cards that got, like the Heisman cards, 2 of them, I think it was. They've pushed Loma probably as far as he's going to go right now anyway. He needs some names. That's part of it. And by the way, I think that I'm gonna wrap it up there. So enjoy the fights this weekend. I will be back early in the week, probably Tuesday, maybe Monday if my schedule gets weird, but probably Tuesday I'll be back. And we'll be there with a big preview for that fight, Leo and Fulton on Showtime. The UK comes back in the house as well. Sky Sports and whatnot. So I'm excited. Like I said, by the way, I repeat, do not forget to re-up your DAZN. They got fights this weekend. They're coming back. They got some decent fights coming up. I like the Fortuna and Linares. It's popping. And, with DAZN, you obviously get, Dillian White, Povetkin, and whatnot. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Enjoy the fights on Friday. Enjoy the stuff coming up. Like I said, it's just nice to have boxing all the way back. And the fall schedule is going to fill up. It's not just Showtime. It's going to fill up. Fox, DAZN, ESPN, all that good shit. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Enjoy the weekend. Peace.
Once you become the world champion, I believe that you feel you have the upper hand. So now, as you fight, let's say you fight 4 or 5 years of straight survival, the bullshit, the holdback, and when you become the world champion, you're like, you know what, I made it. Now I'm going to show you it's business. So I'm going to get every dollar worth